YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy Yo, and there's another episode of Yo Hoops. We go through every NBA game every day. Today's Friday, April 4th, and we have a 10-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through every game, let you know which sides I like, and stick around because I'll let you know my highlighted play of the day. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we dropped our highlighted play of the day. We took the Memphis Grizzlies laying 5 points in Miami against the Miami Heat. The Grizzlies almost came through. They won the game but failed to cover, winning it 110 to 108. Tyler Hero dropped 35, 9, and 4 and kept the Heat within the number. I wanted the game to go to overtime on that last possession, but Ja hit the game winner, so I couldn't be too mad. Overall on the card, we did 4-2 against the spread, so a decent day, but let's get back in that win column with our highlighted today. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Sacramento Kings in Charlotte taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Kings are laying 11 points, and the total is 217.5. After what I saw in that last game against the Wizards, losing it outright, there's no way I'm laying double digits with the Kings on the road. They probably are motivated coming off the embarrassing loss, but they just don't have the shooters to run up extended leads. The Hornets have been profitable in this spot, 19, 13, and 1 against the spread as home underdogs, and they probably stack another home cover tonight. I'm not rushing to the window to bet this one. Like I said, the Kings are motivated and in must-win territory, but I can't trust them laying this extended of a spread. We're taking the Hornets plus the 11 as our first selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Utah Jazz in Indiana taking on the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are laying 16 points, and the total is 237.5. The Jazz are sitting all of their starters besides Colin Sexton. It looks like they're waving the white flag. They currently have the worst record in the league, so they're probably focused on the number one pick. Thing is, the Pacers are another team just like the Kings that I can't trust laying these extended spreads. We've seen the Pacers blow 20-point leads to teams like the Nets with half their guys sitting. Again, this close to the playoffs, I'm not rushing to the window to back the worst team in the league, but for me, 16 is too much to lay with the Pacers. We're taking the Jazz plus 16 points as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Detroit Pistons in Toronto taking on the Toronto Raptors. Pistons are laying 11 points, and the total is 227. This is a spot where the points are warranted. The Pistons have taken care of business on the road all season, and the Raptors are banged up on the second leg of a back-to-back. No travel as they remain at home in Toronto, but they got handled 112 to 103 by the Blazers last night. When you're already shorthanded, playing on no rest is huge because you don't have extra guys to sub in. The Pistons are 10-5 against the spread as road favorites on the season, and they probably stack number 11 tonight. Cade Cunningham is questionable. He may go, and I like the spot for Detroit. We're taking the Pistons laying the 11 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Phoenix Suns in Boston taking on the Boston Celtics. Celtics are laying 14 points, and the total is 226.5. In my opinion, the Suns season is over. Kevin Durant is out, and while I do think Devin Booker has another big game, they don't have the personnel or chemistry to compete with the Celtics. These teams just played on March 26th, and the Celtics won that one 132 to 102 in Phoenix, a 30-point win. Ran them out of their own gym. Boston is coming off an outright loss against the Heat, but coming off a loss, they're 15-4 against the spread on the season, number one in the league. This is a Celtic-style spot Friday night in Boston, and they should get this one done by 20 plus. We're taking the Celtics laying the 14 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers in San Antonio taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Cavs are laying 13 points, and the total is 241. The Cavs are obviously the more talented squad, especially with the Spurs this banged up, but the Spurs have been competitive recently. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games, and they just beat the Nuggets outright in Denver. I told you guys I'd have a few dollars on the money line. This is another one that I think they keep competitive within the number. I definitely think the Cavs win this game, but they haven't been trying to get those 20-plus point wins. They go up 20, there'll probably be live betting opportunity, then they'll bring in their subs and get a comfortable 12-point win. We're taking the Spurs plus the 13 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder in Houston taking on the Houston Rockets. Thunder are laying 6.5 points, and the total is 227.5. The number one and number two teams in the West going head to head. I'll definitely be tuned into this one. Even in the standings, these teams aren't close. OKC is 14 games ahead, and the same goes for the talent. OKC is full of elite defenders that can go get a bucket, and the Rockets are full of streaky shooters that play hard-nosed defense. OKC is slightly banged up coming into this one, but even if they play at 80%, they should win this one by double digits. We've seen the Rockets offense over the last few weeks. It's been cold, and we probably see the Thunder put the West on notice tonight. I lean towards the under. I think we see a lot of defense played, but we're taking the Thunder laying the 6.5 as our highlighted selection of the evening. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Portland Trailblazers in Chicago taking on the Chicago Bulls. Bulls are laying 6 points, and the total is 235. The Blazers come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Toronto to Chicago. They're making a compelling case for the play-in. They're now only 2 games out from the 10th spot in the West. Thing is, they're probably 3 games back after tonight. This is already a bad spot flying in from Canada on no rest, but the Bulls are back in that mode. They just beat the Raptors by 19 points in their last meeting, and they currently sit in the 10th spot in the East, so they're in must-win territory themselves. I want to see the Blazers in the play-in, but I have to look at the game in front of me. We're taking the Bulls laying the 6 as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets in Golden State taking on the Golden State Warriors. Warriors are laying 1 point, and the total is 236. The Warriors come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back. Not much travel, but they do fly from LA back home to San Francisco. They got the impressive win last night against the Lakers, but Jimmy and Steph did both play well over 30 minutes. Now, with the Joker rolling into town, gimme Denver. I mentioned last night the Warriors' only weakness is their size. The Lakers don't have the bigs to exploit that, but the Nuggets do. With guys like Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic, they should dominate the glass tonight. The Warriors really only beat the Lakers last night because Podziemski shot 8 for 10 from 3. After losing to the Spurs outright, the Nuggets need a get-right game. We're taking the Nuggets on the money line as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Dallas Mavericks in LA taking on the LA Clippers. Clippers are laying 10 points, and the total is 226. For me, I need to know if AD is playing. He's currently listed as questionable, but with day-to-day Davis, you really never know. The Clippers are the best home team in the league, 17-7 against the spread as home favorites, so I'm not fading them unless I know that the Mavericks have their guy. The Mavs are in must-win territory, so I want to assume he plays. Personally, I'm waiting for the official news, but for now, I'll lean towards the Mavs. We're taking the Mavs plus the 10 as our next selection of the evening. Let's move. In our last and final matchup of the evening, we have the New Orleans Pelicans in Los Angeles taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are laying 14.5 points, and the total is 221.5. The Lakers come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home in Los Angeles. The Lakers are in a tight 3rd through 8th battle in the West, so I do expect them to be locked in here. Thing is, for me on no rest, I cannot trust them laying this big of a number. They should definitely win this game, but I can see the Pels keeping it competitive. Every team treats the Lakers like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and for the Pelicans, this is probably the biggest game they'll have for the rest of the season. I see the Lakers pulling away late for something like a 9-point Lakers win. We're taking the Pelicans plus the 14.5 as our last and final selection of the evening. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We're now 2-2 against the spread on highlighted plays in April, but let's finish out the month strong. Let's make these next 10 days our biggest 10 days yet. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.